the reproductive rights of women are very much at stake, at threat, and in some cases they in some states they have been taken away completely, and it is a dark time. And that was the case before Roe was passed in the early 1970s. And I have heard you tell a story of a personal experience that happened prior to that era when you were in college that dramatically highlighted the dangers of being in that post-Roe world where women do not have reproductive rights. And if
I
you
was the head resident of my dormitory, Murphy Hall at Whittier College. It was a boys' dorm, but there was a girls' annex. As part of my job, I would walk the halls. I walked the halls in the boys' area and in the girls' area. And one day, as I was walking through the girls' area, I heard moaning, and the door was ajar, and I knocked, and I went in, and there was this young woman who I knew quite well, lying on the bed, bleeding profusely. Well, I wrapped her up, took her down to Presbyterian Hospital. The doctor said to me, if I had been 5 minutes later, she would have been dead. I've never forgotten that moment. And I want you to know, I told this story on radio, on KGO several years ago, and the phone rang, and a fellow came on. I didn't remember him, but he was a student who was in the dormitory at the time, and who said, John, we've never forgotten it. You were a hero that night. Well, I don't want people to be afraid. I don't want them to have to go to get botched abortions. I don't want to see this come back. And I don't care whether you're a male or a female, whether you believe. Look, I believe in a woman's right to choose to have an abortion or not have an abortion. That's the whole point. And talk about intrusive government. What the Republicans have done is absolutely horrific. And I want to make one other point. When Brown versus the Board of Education was issued, the Southern Manifesto was issued by the South. Google it. It's worth looking at, because senators and congressmen from the House and the Senate voted or signed this Southern Manifesto saying that this should be a states' rights issue. Imagine if we had allowed states' rights to govern the question of integration, while the South would still be segregated.
Right.
No, there are federal standards. There are health standards. And I hope that the blowback on the Republicans is considerable, and I believe it will be. I think the Republicans are going to take the House and Senate. And Beowulf, when we talk about this the week after the election, in just 9 months from now, the gestation period, if you will,
yes.
we will have a chance to reflect on it. But I don't think it's just women. It's men. It's people like me. It's people like you. And I want to say again, Beowulf, if somebody passed a law telling me what I could do with my body or what I couldn't do with my body, I'd tell them to take a flying leap.
Absolutely.
Sure you would.
We should all be outraged, and we should all struggle mightily to pull ourselves as a nation back out of that era of darkness.
But there should be also the right of a woman to choose not to have an abortion. You understand? That's the whole point of living in a free society.
Yeah.
We'll have to see what the Supreme Court does. But remember, the court may have conservative justices, but I like to remind people in the United States versus Richard Nixon, Nixon put 4 justices on the court. 1 recused himself, Bill Rehnquist, but 3 were there, and the 3 voted against Richard Nixon's right of privacy, if you will, executive privilege. I hope this Supreme Court, when it comes to Donald Trump and to many other issues, realizes the weight of history, realizes what precedent means. But one of the things I learned, and I must say I will admit to being a little bit naive in a certain sense, when each one of Trump's nominees testified before the Judiciary Committee, saying that they believed in established precedent, not overthrowing precedent, in answer to the Roe v. Wade question. They didn't say they would or they wouldn't. They just said, we believe in supporting precedent. I hope, and they disregarded precedent in Roe v. Wade to their eternal shame, but I hope when it comes to Donald Trump and this question of absolute immunity, that the Supreme Court looks back on the United States versus Richard Nixon. Nixon would have finished his term had not the tapes been reviewed. He would have gotten away with a crime, and he would have gotten away with a cover-up. And I have to tell you, my faith in democracy was restored when Nixon failed. And I'm hoping that my faith in democracy will be established and reconfirmed in the cases involving Donald Trump.
One way or another, the Supreme Court of the United States is bound to have the weight of history weigh upon it mightily. It is
as never before.
Yes, indeed. John Rothmann, he is the host 5+ days a week of Around the Political World with John Rothmann. Please check that out. John,
Can I just point out for you,
please.
You conclude, it is 10 minutes, ladies and gentlemen.
10 minutes a day. That's all you have to invest.
Monday through Friday. I don't charge anything for it. Around the Political World with John Rothmann. I hope you'll listen, and I hope you'll give me feedback. I think it's very important to have this area of expression. And I particularly want to commend you. Beowulf Rothmann does a magnificent job. I know it's not radio, it's not interactive as it should be, but it's the best we can do given the fact that this is the world we live in. So to Beowulf Rothmann, my sincere appreciation, my thanks. But more than that, you're doing a splendid job. And whether I agree with you or disagree with you, thank God you're there.
Thank you much, sir. And the same to you. Again, Around the Political World with John Rothmann. John, thanks so much for being with us today.
See you next week.
Facepalm America, next week. Thank you so much for listening to Facepalm America. I want to thank Ace Elson and Rosabelle Hine for being the producers of this show. Please share this podcast on social media. That's the best way of telling your friends. They can click on it. They can listen. They can spread the word, and it really helps what we do here. And until next time, enjoy the day.